So, how are you? It's been a very busy summer, honestly, for you.
Yeah.
Eventful.
Yeah, I'm alive. That's a good thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel good. I just had surgery on last Thursday and then went back to work Friday, Saturday, and then I've just been like pirate stepping around and it's been a really unique experience kind of being in this, 3 months of disability world access, learning about mobility, um, lack of mobility issues and things, but I feel good. I feel excited to like go work out again. I've been sitting still for so long, so I'm ready to like be active. And then we have our first wedding coming up this coming weekend. So, or not our first wedding, but our first wedding of the fall. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you're moving around great, honestly. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what to expect, but you hear somebody that they're getting a rod put in their leg, so you
I
kind of
know.
think that you're going to be like laying around for at least a week, and you're like
I know.
dancing.
Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of that's like the wonder and joy of being uneducated in health. Like, I've never had health issues. So even when I first went into the hospital, everybody kept saying, like, we're gonna have to see that. And I just literally thought it'd be in and out, but I was there for like 2.5 weeks with my health scare. So,
Mhm.
even with this like femur, like rod surgery, technology has been it's fascinating what they did. They literally put a giant metal rod in my femur. So the rod is like this big, and then two big screws that they like screw on the top and bottom. And I got discharged the next day. So here I am.
Yes. Just to give everybody a little bit of background here, Jason and I connected on TikTok a few months ago before either of us really went viral and got a lot of followers. So we've kind of been watching each other's journey along the way, which has been nice. I've just loved, honestly, watching your family and some of your TikToks as well. I think as an adoptee, it's just nice to see that Korean family dynamic. Let's talk about that. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
more about your family.
My parents and I, so it's me, my sister, one sister, we're about a year apart. And it's just the two of us, and then my mom and my dad. And we are born and raised in Orange County, California. And my sister and I moved out to LA about 15 years ago. So we had shared walls for about 35 years of our lives. And so she luckily got married and was taken away from my apartment. And so now she lives in a beautiful home. Yeah, my family and I are very close. My parents immigrated here and they both started their own businesses. And my dad was in contracting and painting, and my mom in fashion, and had a store boutique in Garden Grove, which is like the K-town of Orange County before it changed to kind of now it's more a Vietnamese community. But yeah, we born and raised, and then the solopreneurship journey kind of spread to me and my sister. So my sister and I are both small business owners, and my parents and I are very close. Not to say that we don't have a lot of fun roller coasters that we've experienced together as family as well, and everything from financial hardships to just being immigrants with no health insurance and learning how to take care of themselves medically with anything that happened through our childhood. But yeah, just really grateful that I have my parents, and we have cousins and family members too that are close by. And it's been a long journey for our family in terms of our relationships, but we're very blessed to have each other. And I'm very lucky to have my sister too, who, as much as I roll my eyes at her, she's been really a best friend for all of my life. So, yeah.
Yeah. You can tell that you guys are close, that you
Yeah.
have like that kind of closeness where you can joke and pick at each other and not
Yeah.
get taken too seriously. So,
Yeah. And we really can't show all of the true realities of what it's like to be in a Korean household. There's a lot of passion and a lot of dialogue, but
mm,
I was very lucky to also grow up with my grandma, and she lived with us for a long time. And so, the Korean culture has been kind of something that I grew up with, but at the same time, I grew up in Orange County, California. So majority of my friends were all predominantly white. The whole community really is white.
now that's something that I have heard too from even not just Koreans, but just
Yeah.
other Asian Americans whose family kind of started from the 80s on. that culture was often like hidden under a rug, I think, for their own survival or comfortability or just to not make themselves a target. And I think a lot of it was just a byproduct of the times. Like there were wars and people had certain mindsets about cultures and places in the world and like they do today. It just happened to be the Asian people's turn at the time. Do you feel like that was part of it or that you still got to have a piece of your heritage?
I think because I lived with, my grandmother, my aunt, and I had still had like through lines of my culture through my parents.
Mhm.
But, I think when I look back on my youth, I definitely was deeply, deeply raised in, even it, I don't know how to really call it. I don't want to say indirect white supremacy because what it was white supremacy, but I grew up in a culture where, I had wanted to be white and I wanted to assimilate and figure out the ways to kind of be closest to whiteness as possible. Because again, there was no other community really outside of the few Asian people that were in my school, which I was friends with, but also, um, the whole fun aspect of my life was that I had the queer aspect that was a struggle to kind of find myself through that identity and accept myself in that identity and then accept myself in the Asian community with that identity because again predominantly especially in Korean culture there's a lot of homophobia and sexuality isn't something that's very talked about or so I think I had passions with, that were kind of outside of culture, but more so I've realized now, like looking back on it, everything was rooted in it. And I wish I got to explore more of my current culture younger, but I don't think I would have appreciated it as much. Because again, at that time, I was constantly looking to like be as white as possible, which turns out you can't do.
I think that's a common theme, though. We all have our own individual stories for sure, but I do see little strings that keep us kind of webbed together in certain ways. And I think it just has a lot to do with how society viewed Asian culture at that time. If you were a millennial, uh, and Asian, it was kind of dorky or uncool to be into like the Asian stuff, like anime.
Yeah.
And now it's
Yeah.
like super cool.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
adults
to
are
be
into
honest, even raving, the culture of raving wasn't as popular. And then you now have EDM, which is an entire category of music, and you have these raves that are now by giant corporations like Insomniac that spend millions of dollars to put on these giant productions. When I remember the first, Electric Daisy or the second Electric Daisy Carnival that was at a Queen Mary in Orange County, like it was very small. And so it is interesting because it's like I'm really proud of our community and our culture, and I feel like we've come a long way. Um, and at the same time, it just makes me appreciate more of when I do make that connection with fellow Asian Americans, in terms of how we like have come to our senses and like how we've kind of woken up. And for me, my wake up was 2020. That was like the first real moment to kind of take a pause and go, wow, I did not realize that so many of the things that I've experienced, good and bad, were all kind of linked to that culture.
Yeah, I think what I notice too is that there's a different mindset too with like diversity and the BIPOC community compared to a lot of the rest of the country. And
Hmm.
I'm not saying that it's like the entire state. I realize there's pockets everywhere, but by comparison, if you look at the most like progressive areas in each state, California seems to have a very chill, kind of diverse vibe. Like you can go
Yeah.
into stores and see multiple ethnicities and sometimes even hear different languages, which I really appreciated. That's just not something I've seen a lot of like on this side of the country.
I feel like it's one of those things where again, I don't know if it's that I wasn't paying attention back then, so I didn't really see the diversity that we had. Because I think like even in my high school, I think I remember vividly our like year coincidentally had a lot of biracial relationships, like
Mhm.
Asian girl, white guy was kind of the stencil. And it like we saw a lot of that growing up in high school.
Mhm.
And I can't, and now when you go to Orange County, it's what I feel like now is predominantly Asian in a lot of different cities, which
Mhm.
is so awesome. Like you go to Irvine and it's predominantly Asian. There's a lot of different like Asian restaurants and focus towards the Asian community, and a lot of people appreciate that. And so it's interesting. Like I don't know if it was something that had changed since I had been there to where it is now, but even like, I've been in this West Hollywood bubble that's very queer. And I remember the first few years, like I would invite my mom to come eat at a restaurant, and I would forget because this is before I even came out to her. I came out really late to my parents, but um, I there would be like guys holding hands, and I would always wonder like what she was thinking because that's just something that would never happen in Orange County. And even though
Mhm.
we're only about 45 minutes to 50 minutes away from Orange County, it is really two different worlds in terms of
Yeah.
like the diversity and like the uh, liberal, kind of more laid back energy that LA has, even though it is known to be a glamorous area, versus the conservativeness of Orange County, which took me
Okay.
2020 to realize, oh, wow, there's a very predominantly large conservative community in Orange County. And that's majority of my friends' parents back in high school. I would think I was a lot of my friends' parents' first gay person they've ever come in, like had in their life. And that was kind of a fascinating thought too. Maybe even the first like, maybe the first minority, but I mean, there was a lot of minorities in my year. So I feel like I don't know. Sometimes I think like we were the come up year where we were like all the Asians were starting to like show themselves.
Right.
But it just might have been my generation, or it might have been that time, or just something that I just never really paid attention to, even
Yeah.
though I was so hyper focused on trying to be straight, and then I was so hyper focused on trying to be white. And clearly both things I failed miserably at. So
Well, I think that's part of the whole like assimilation for survival, right?
yeah.
Did you feel like when in the queer community that your Asianness created issues for you? Or not issues, but
No, like I think there was issues. I think at that time, there was so much I was insecure with. Like there was so many, I had body issues on top of being closeted, on top of, really truly I used to, I think, actively say, I wish I was white, or, I would hear from friends that were white, at that time, like, you're the only Asian friend I have, or things like that, that were at that time, like almost complimentary in my mind. And then now looking back and I'm like, oh wow, that was so self-deprecating. And it was also so racist, But again, I fully understand too that there was a different era, and I'm not excusing that behavior, but it definitely was just a different generation where we weren't even privy to a lot of these like verbiage of how to even be more inclusive. But I think like a lot of the conflict I had with the Asian community is that like, and I think maybe there's some through lines to this stuff now, is that I feel like at times I wish that there was more activism done.
mm,
Not, and even back then when I was younger, the activism, when I say activism, I meant just more diversity, or more vocal difference than others, versus I think we were all so hyper focused on trying to assimilate at that time that, there wasn't really much of an identity given to us other than that we were the Asian group, or that's the Asian clique, or, whatever that line is. And so I don't know. I think like if it's a universal thing for all people where as a queer person we just have different, you know, I guess milestones and hurdles, but at the same time, yeah, I don't know if that is all intersectional and it's all like because of one or the other.
yeah, well, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
do want to say like I had a really good group of friends through all of my childhood. So like I don't want to discredit those people because there was a lot of people who amplified me in my way and supported me. I think I was so hyper focused on all of the negatives that I also really didn't, fully recognize the type of friends that I had at that time that were also so inclusive and like, never made me feel too big, too queer, too Asian, but just kind of laughed with me, you know? So I
Mm.
think like there's a lot of friends like that that I also grew up with that I when I talk about my past of like being in a community that we're all predominantly white, like there were so many parents that were very gracious and kind to me and never made me feel othered coming to their home. And just always was very kind. But I think like now with some of the education that I have too, a lot of it could have just been like conservative kindness and politeness, versus like full acceptance. But I'm still grateful that they were kind nonetheless.
I think in the South, like that Southern kindness is very similar.
Yeah.
And, there were times when I would be in conversations with people and would kind of be like, "Oh, would you be this nice to me if I wasn't me? Like
Yeah.
if you didn't know me or, whatever." So,
Um,
but
it's so interesting. I actually didn't. I know we had one conversation before, and it's like I do wonder though, because not that like there's the amount of things that we were dealing with growing up, but I am curious to know for you, like as somebody who is obviously through the adoptee experience, like I'm assuming there's a factor of feeling not included or othered, and
mm,
if it is in a way, not to discredit one or the other, is it similar to the othering that we feel as queer people, or is it a different kind of pain and
um,
hopelessness? Like I think about that just like kind of clicked for me while you were talking,
okay.
because it's like, yeah, we have the cultural aspect one about our ethnicities and who we are, and then you have like the layers of that, but then I then kind of clock like, oh, I wonder what that I mean, I'm sure that the experience is probably a lot harder, but I hate to compare like, you know, those two things and say one is worse than the other. But
I get what you're saying. I actually had a friend
yeah.
who recently asked the same question because we were talking about me rediscovering my heritage and like
Hmm.
immersing into the Korean adoptee community and just kind of doing all things. It is kind of a coming out of sorts, right? Like
Yeah.
I remember watching my friends when they would come out in the process. Like you dive in the pool and you do all the things that you've always been wanting to do, but like were too afraid to do or didn't know anything about to do, and you just want to try it all on the buffet of life and then
Oh,
go
I
from
love a
there.
buffet of life. I am going back for plates.
Heaping plates.
Yeah. Do I need any more? Am I full? Yes, I am full.
Take me to the trough. Another friend who is gay, he was like, "No, I don't think it's the same." I'm not sure his reasoning behind why he said no, but
Yeah.
I do understand where you and she are coming from in that you kind of have this part of yourself that you don't get to really explore or know about or
Hmm.
understand, and there's nobody around you to kind of talk about it. And then once you kind of give yourself the permission or feel comfortable enough in it to explore it, it does kind of become this like awakening of sorts and this
Yeah.
buffet of life experience where you try to do all the things. So I can see that.
Yeah.
Like you said, not to take away from anybody's experience.
And to be very clear, we're not comparing one or the other. We're
No.
not saying one is one is higher on the trauma scale than the other, but it is kind of one of those things where I'm like both of them. And again, like we can argue all day about the similarities and the differences. Like
Mm,
we can say that both are not a choice, and it's like both are things that we learn at different stages in our life, and we have to then it does impact the community that we have around us, and for good and for bad, and you may end up losing friends because of your discovery. And so there's like things that I think about just the term other. And I think even with this whole disability experience where I'm just a visitor in that space, um learning about the other, being othered in so many factors of our lives, and then now beginning to process at the age of 40, like, oh, that's probably why I've been through so many things, because I felt like I've been in that other category for so many different parts of my life. And now I'm realizing that other part is actually the best part about me.
mm.
And, I love the fact that I'm another person, that I'm not the same as everyone else. I think that's maybe part of my healing journey now at the age of 40. the late age of 40 of finally, talking to a therapist and working through some of that trauma.
Well, I think it's just one of those balance things in life because if we were completely healed in our 20s, the world wouldn't be able to take us.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I was definitely not doing any healing of journeys in 20. I was pretty much just living within, I was just wilding out. I was watching a lot of Bad Girls Club. I was
Okay.
I was living a wild life. I was throwing things at bars, just being rambunctious.
I feel like that was my late teens, early 20s.
Yeah,
Um, I don't think I threw things. Ooh, I did chase a man. Ooh.
that's K Rage. That is called K Rage. Welcome to the community. Thank you for discovering it. You are one of us. It is called K Rage.
I don't think I did. Oh, wait, yep, I did. I chased a man down the street, honey, and I think he was complimenting me, but he called me Chinese, and that just set me off when I was drunk.
Okay. I once got called a Pokemon.
Oh,
Yeah, rude, rude. I also once at a gay bar was jumped by a group of women because my ex-boyfriend was fighting with another guy. And so then I ran over to just like make sure he was okay. And then his girlfriends jumped on me. So it was like four girls like hitting me while like he was in the fight with the guy, and it was just wild. Thank God there was no TikTok at that time because that video does not exist. And I'm
okay.
proud to say that I did not swing back. I do not believe in hitting women at all. So I just took it like a champ on the ground.
I don't know. Sometimes some fruit flies can be crazy.
And looking back, and then I think like later on, we ended up somewhat becoming okay with each other. Like, but it
Mm.
was just one of those things that was really. I remember that memory so vividly about my wild 20s, and then somewhat into my early 30s. But I've since retired. So
Yes, we don't do that anymore. Evidently,
yeah.
I had a habit of like falling asleep in the car in the parking lot.
Oh,
Um,
geez. Yeah. The
yeah.
narcolepsy drinkers. Yes. What is that?
Well, I think it was because I tried to drink and smoke weed too much at the same time. And then we would get there. I did not remember this for the longest time. And then, like, cut to probably 10 years later, my friends are reminiscing about some glory days and shit. And I'm like, you bitches, where was I? Like, thanks for the invite. And then
You
you're
were
like,
there.
yeah, you dumb whore, you were asleep in the parking lot. Like, what?
There were some nights that I should have. I should have been the one to sleep, not the one out there acting wild at that level of drunkenness. I should have been able to tap out
Oh,
at some
God.
point, but I just kept going. I was like the Energizer Bunny. I just kept going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm not really sure what category to put this story in, but benefits of living in a small town. We would go to the American Legion to party and karaoke. And I don't remember the guy who did karaoke, but his dad would also like hang out at because he was a veteran. And we called him Karaoke Daddy. So one night,
That's a TikTok account, 100%.
so one night, I'm like, I gotta go. I make it outside and halfway up the steps, and then sat my ass down and laid my face on the cold handrail because I just couldn't. I don't know how long I sat there, but long enough for
Mm.
people to like say, there's a little Asian girl outside passed out on the steps. But everybody knew it was me because I was the only Asian girl in town.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, were you legitimately the only Asian girl in town?
There was one other that was like known around the area, but yeah, they would
Wow.
always confuse us as each other. She was Taiwanese and had an Asian American accent, and we would often joke that like we didn't understand how they still continue to confuse us after they would talk to us.
Yeah, you know what's so interesting is even at the like, not that again, I don't think that 40 is that old. I don't feel 40, but there is something very scary slash like awakening of even at like 39, I feel like I could still while out and not get in trouble because I still feel like I'm a kid inside. But there's something about the being the age of 40. Like if I get into a bar fight, I will go to prison. Like they will send me like there's no like letting me go. I'm a 40-year-old man. It'll be a headline, 40-year-old, man, you know, falls asleep at bar. Like it's just not the same to have the same it carries so much more weight now at this age. So it's like thankfully I'm sober. I don't go out to the bars as much. And that's like something that I'm trying to rediscover too of how I can go back to nightlife and
Mm.
enjoy those spaces, especially queer spaces, because a lot of those queer spaces back when I was in my 20s, I was fully inebriated. I was
Mm.
fully drunk to just have as much fun and be as numb to my anxieties as possible. But now it's like, I think I need to start reapproaching that world and being like, okay, well, at some point I need some gay men friends. Like I need some gay males in my life outside of like the two that I know. And I want to start reapplying myself there, but I don't know. We'll keep you updated on how that goes. But if you
Okay.
see a headline that says 40-year-old man, it wasn't me.
Oh God. It's just not as cute, when
Yeah,
when you're in
yeah.
your 20s and you pass out at the bars, it's like, oh my God, I passed out at the bar. But when you're in your 40s, you're like, oh God, bitch, I passed out at the bar.
Oh, actually, okay, actually, hold on. Now I'm having a flashback of a memory that was in my 30s, and I did end up losing my wallet that night.
Oh
And luckily, I
no.
had two really great friends who got me home safe. But then I had to do the next morning of like being extremely hungover and trying to track down my wallet. And then I had to do the walk of shame to the bar during the day, which if you're ever at a bar during the day and it's not Sunday, God bless.
Is
Yeah.
that once you hit menopause, you just don't give a fuck anymore.
Which I have to say, shout out to women because I think this year is a year that I found out that women only feel normal 6 days out of the month.
1 week a month.
Okay. And then a lot of my female friends are going through peri or are
Oh,
finishing menopause.
yeah.
But to know that you have three stages, the menopause, and the post menopause is so unfair. And you're still paying for tampons. What world we live in? What world?
Yeah. Or you get to have an IUD,
But
but
even that, so
it's
unfair.
it's terrible. They tell you it don't hurt, but that's a fucking lie.
It looks like it hurts.
It's a fucking lie. I vagaled out. Like I almost passed out and like we're shaking. Like my blood
Doesn't it
was
look like it? Doesn't it look like a? Is it? Doesn't it looks like a jack?
it's,
It's it's like it's like a Lego piece they just want you to shove into your hoo-ha and you're like just supposed to be fine. Okay, sure. You do it, doctor. You do it. I think I saw a commercial for one and it looked like a cookie cutter. It looked like a full-blown plastic cookie cutter that you're putting in your hoo-ha. That just seems just so much work, so much work. And then I even found out that like just how privileged us men are and again like I'm a gay man so we're still a little bit better than straight men but I'm still a man at the end of the day and like even to get ready for a Zoom meeting is so different for men and women and it's
oh,
like to know that there's a process and you have to like I can do a consultation with a client I just have to make sure I'm presentable enough but then to know that like oh there's like all this extra work and time that people have to go through and then on top of that, again, you only feel good about yourself or you only feel like normal for 1 week of the month. That's so, and so then when you compare, why are men so terrible? Why are we so, we don't have a monthly visitor. I swear, there are times though, as a man, I do feel like I have something. I don't know if it's just because my cycle's finally synced with all my girlfriends, but
they say
like,
it happens.
or maybe I'm empathetic, too empathetic, but I feel like men, we have mood swings too. We definitely have mood swings. We are not immune to having any mood, things, but we don't have any physical excuse to have it.
Oh gosh, Deborah Cox, how did we get here? Oh shoot. How do you feel being a man has affected your own ability to like be confident in yourself and have your own identity? Because I remember when I read, oh gosh, it was the girl that wrote the thing about we can do hard things, Gwendolyn Doyle. Untamed. But in this book, she said that she started to think a lot about the male experience and that just as how women are put into these boxes of expectation with gender roles and being the caretakers and bearing the brunt and the weight of a lot of things, men are equally as restricted in what they can do and who they can be because they're supposed to be the strong ones. There's another layer of that for you because in the Korean culture, right, I feel like worse than the American culture.
Yeah. I mean, I think misogyny runs deep in pretty much all cultures, but yes, I think it's it's harder to, not harder, but I guess it's again more complicated because I am a queer man. But I think these are one of the things that I grew up very traditional in terms of my gender norms. And like I grew up raised in that where the man should be driving the woman, like, and so
Mhm.
even still, I know that that's unequal. And I know that that's crazy to think that like women cannot drive because they can drive and they can drive better than a lot of men do. I always feel the need to drive. I always feel the need to pick up my girlfriends, pick them up, take them somewhere. And then, even in my 20s when I was like broke at the job, like literally no money, I had no money. And I would pay for lunches. I would like whenever I'd go to lunch with a female, I would always be like this weird feeling that I had to take care of it. And I don't know if that's something that I'll discover deeper with my therapist, but my tendency to kind of still have that little bit where, you know, as much as I believe that all women are equal and they have every right to do whatever they want, in that very same breath, I think that men should make it a lot easier for women. And so, in a way, if you want to be a kept woman, if you want to be a what are the term, the trad wife, like
Mhm.
whatever that is, like women should be able to do what the fuck they want. And at the same time, men should be a more supportive to women. I believe that. Um, that's kind of I think what I process. But I think in terms of the male experience, like the misogynistic slash like homophobic and what we see now is really interesting. Like queer baiting became a new thing that we never experienced growing up, but now queer baiting is something where you have artists and celebrities and TikTokers and influencers that are like pretending to kiss their male friends to kind of get more people to like them
Mhm.
or and again, I don't really think it's intentional. Like I know that a lot of people think that, for example, Harry Styles is a queer baiter. I don't know if he is or he isn't. I don't know him personally, so I don't really care. But I think a lot of my growing up had a lot to do with my obsession of being accepted by other men. And then that same breath being most ashamed that I was actually attracted to other men. And then knowing that also men are more fearful of even showing that they may be attracted back.
Mm.
So there was a lot of this like weird relationship, friendships that like I felt like maybe in my youth, like, were we actually like closer than friends, or was I closer to my male friends that were inclusive enough to be friends with me because I also didn't feel like to them that I was one of another like macho man. I was more of a softer male. So maybe for some of my male friends that are straight and are now married or in female like straight hetero relationships, um, maybe it was easier for them to be friends with me because I was closer to a woman than a woman. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
so I think about all of these aspects, but I think to say that like men don't have challenges, I think we definitely do. I think the biggest challenge with men is that we are not supportive the way that I think women are supportive of each other, in that like men don't technically or typically can't cry to each other
Mm.
or lean on each other and share like vulnerabilities the same way that I think females and women have kind of always done. Even for me in safe spaces, like I feel like I can talk to a woman so much more comfortably than I can talk to another man. Um, and then I think there's, then you have like this whole separate category of what it's like to be friends with, other queer men and what that whole queer world is, which is very separate and different.
So, I mean, first of all, that's a lot of weight
Yeah.
to
Oh
carry.
yeah. Is it?
Because that's just like just how you navigate friendships, really. Essentially, like
Yeah.
that's not. your day to day. That's not romantic relationships, which I'm sure a lot of that rolls over into romantic relationships. But
What's a
like,
romantic relationship? I'm sorry, what's a romantic relationship? What is that?
oh, I'm told in fairy tales that when a man loves a woman, or just two people happen to love each other, what
Yeah.
is love though?
Just respond to my match.
Oh
Just
God.
respond. If you want to if you matched me, why are you not responding? Just unmatch me,
Uh,
which I've also recently experienced where they said hello and then they unmatched. I
oh.
was so confused, so confused.
Uh, Listen, men are very confusing. And I will say, even as a strong, independent woman, that I still like if we match on a dating app, I want you to message me first
Yeah.
because I feel like in today's world, there are certain steps that a woman has to take to like weed out the frogs.
Yeah. Okay, wait. So this kind of does make me think about like I was having a conversation with a friend about Bumble because I think the reason Bumble was so popular was that it was the first time that like one can match the other.
Like
but then like
the woman takes initiative, so you can't like get a random guy sending you a dick pic out of nowhere.
yeah, but what's weird to me is I don't know then how does gay male Bumble work? Do we
Oh,
then like because now that I'm thinking about it, like when I get a match, that means that somebody had liked me first, but then if I like someone but they don't like me in that moment, then they must have liked me after I liked them first.
I don't know.
Join us for part 7 of
The
New Age
mystery of
Dating
Bumble.
101.
We're going to bring in Bumble.
Yeah. Bumble, please sponsor my please give me a membership. Okay?
Listen, I would totally throw away my dignity and talk about some dating stories to get
Yeah, I
sponsored
don't
by a
know.
dating app.
I don't know why dating apps have also gotten so expensive, but
What is up
like
with that?
and then there's like different tiers where like okay, if you want to see who sees you, that's another $7 a month. Oh, if you want to be able to see who see you, then that's another $2.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I also like think it's ridiculous to make people have to pay that much per month.
It's a lot better than what I was doing when I was younger, which was called Craigslist. So,
Oh,
and that was free.
yeah. There was also Plenty of Fish, which I hear is still around,
Yeah,
but
plenty of fish. There was, oh my gosh, there were so many.
question, which is harder, finding good straight male friends or finding good queer male friends?
You know, that's actually a really good point. I think I friend zoned everybody from the
Okay.
jump, which again I'll work through with my therapist. I won't take your time from that. But I don't really know. Like there has been incidences where I've in like connected with somebody, and again in my dream fantasy of romance, I'm like, I'm at the library, which again I don't read, but I'm at the library for some reason, and we both reach for the same book, or
Mhm.
like, we both grab the same, potato chips, from the, whatever that again, like don't make me fat. But in my fantasy, that's like how it happens. But then like in real life, when it happens, it's usually like work related or it's something and again, like I think at this point I am so comfortable with my sexuality now where I don't code switch the same way that I used to when I was younger. And I don't know, maybe I still catch myself like maybe my voice gets a little bit lower when I'm, like thank you so much. Like I don't know how that is now, but there was a time when I used to be like, well, thank you so much. Have a great day. Like, and I would walk like that. But now I feel like I'm pretty much rested and sit into my body well enough to like be myself. But I guess I don't really think of a time where I'm like cognitively thinking of that because it's like if I'm attracted to somebody, then there's like a crush or not. But at the same time, like, I don't know. Like, I also am not one of those. And again, I don't want to get us canceled before we make it, but I'm not one of those queer men that want to turn men either. The idea
Mhm.
of like, I'm barely confident enough to like talk to a gay man. You think I want to go out there and like try to hope that this straight man's gonna like change his mind with me? Absolutely not. Like, I'm not interested in any of that. So, I don't know. I don't think I really go into meeting anyone like that, but I think in romantic situations, it's obviously easier just because we're automatically on apps that
Yeah.
like clarify. But there's also just to clear, just again, one more dating app thing. I don't know why, but there's always randomly two women that slip into my app. And it's like I've made it very clear I'm gay. Like I'm gay, 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 gay. Like there's a rainbow, like my gay face. Like there could not be anything
Okay.
more gay about there's like that could not be more like I think my like ethnicity is Gaysian. Like it says everything that it says, and for some reason I'll swipe and all of a sudden I'll get like women. And I'm so confused as if it's just my app. Am I the only one glitching with women where my because my setting is man, and again, like, I don't know, I don't want to talk about identities because everyone can identify as whatever they want to identify as, but these are not these are straight women looking for straight men. And for some reason they somehow filter in. So it usually happens like at least once or twice a month. So if you can just find out why, that would be great. But
Well, that is wild.
yeah, I don't know. Now I think it's been really pleasant to see straight men embrace me better than they did before. And I think there's is more of a comfort in knowing that like, when I'm out in the world and I'm talking to gay or straight, that like there isn't much of I don't feel like they're treating me any differently. And sometimes I do feel like majority of the time, if I'm meeting a group of straight men, it's coming from the fact that I'm either with the work situation or through like friends of mine. And so usually it's a safer space than me going to like the local sports bar and like being like, let him get a bud or whatever. I don't know what do straight men drink? Paps?
Bourbon?
Oh, there's an ambulance going by. Can you hear that?
Mm-mm.
Oh, perfect. Thank you, Road Mike. Please
Nice.
sponsor us.